Welcome to the first Tibetan sangharamma in India. The first Tibetan sangharamma in India, Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi. This sangharamma was made specially for Tibetans, and thank you to Huen Tsang for showing it to us. And this is the king who made the sangharamma on the horse. This is the king who made the sangharamma. Folks, my Tibetan friends, you must be thankful to Tsang for showing us the Tibetan sangharamma, the first sangharamma for foreigners in India, the first Buddhist sangharamma for foreigners in India. His Holiness the Dalai Lama should be shown this sangharamma. Folks, how I came to this conclusion that Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi is the first foreigner sangharamma in India. Sangharamma where Indians were not allowed to enter. Only foreigners were allowed to stay in this sangharamma and meditate here. So folks, how I came to this conclusion, please view this video till the end. Now my Tibetan friends, I'm sure you all would like to know where the first Tibetan sangharamma was made for Tibetans who had been bullied because of racism. Well, now this is pre-Huen Tsang, because Huen Tsang came and saw the sangharamma. There were three Tibetans who lived in a country Huen Tsang mispronounces as to-kie-la-na. To-kie-la-na. Now the Tibetans can search where it is in Tibet, to-kie-la-na. They have read Buddhist texts and they have read Buddhist stories, but they want to get to the root of Buddhism. So they come to India on a pilgrimage to all the sites. But to which, see, all the sangharammas had a rule that any bhikshu who came to the sangharamma was given 3 days of lodging and 3 days of fooding free. Any bhikshu who came to the sangharamma was given 3 days of lodging and 3 days of fooding free. But the Tibetans, it was racism. They looked, they had different looks. Their clothes were different, and they had taken, staves, walking sticks with them, to, shoo away snakes, etc. Anyway, these Tibetans, they are, whichever sangharamma they go, they are shooed away, they are beaten, they are mistreated, they are slapped, and no one gives them food. So these three Tibetans are lying on the side of the road, sort of, exasperated, hungry, dying, and a king is passing nearby. The king sees them and he sees their different sort of facial features, so he questions them, from where are you? They say that we are from this country of to-kie-la-na, from across the, Himalayas, across the snowy mountains. Huen Tsang calls it the snowy mountains. So the king says, why are you in such a state? They said, look, racism, no one feeds us, no sangharamma allows us to enter, no one feeds us. So we are, in this state. The king feels sorry for them and decides to make a sangharamma for foreigners, folks. That is the first sangharamma for foreigners. It is just north of Patna, on the northern banks of the Ganges from Patna. Tsang calls it OPT. What does he call it? Tsang calls it to-kie-la-na. To-kie-la-na. To is Ashpatpur. Kie-la-na is Singhia Latiahi. Now, it was the sangharamma for unpierced ears. Unpierced ears. Why unpierced ears? See, the Indians, those days, they all had pierced ears because they wore earrings called bali. All Indians wore earrings. And these three foreigners had no pierced ears. No holes in their ears for earrings. So the king made the sangharamma for unpierced ears, where pierced ears were not allowed to enter. Pierced ears means Indians with holes in their ears. They weren't allowed to enter, and unpierced ears. See, that was the differentiation between an Indian and a foreigner, was the pierced ears and the unpierced ears. And Latiahi means exactly that. So Ashpatpur Latiahi is the sangharamma for unpierced ears, for Tibetans who came with unpierced ears. Folks, check out what Zhang has to say, and what do you call it, and then I'll show it to you in satellite pictures, and then you can I will show you the pictures of the first sangharamma and the residents who today live in that first Tibetan sangharamma, and you must show it to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Folks, let's see. First, check out what Zhang has to say. Now let's see how Zhang takes us to the first Tibetan sangharamma. This kingdom is the country of Chenchu. See, they have put it, translated it as Ghazipur. Now Ghazi is a Muslim word, and the Muslims came 1400 years after the Buddha. So this Chenchu is actually Chapra. Chenchu is Chapra. This kingdom is about 2000 li in circuit. Its capital, which borders on the Ganges, is about 10 li in circuit. See, the capital borders on the Ganges. So here you have the Ganges, and up here is Chenchu. Huen Tsang's Chenchu is Chapra. So folks, let's go back to CUK and let's see, proof that Chapra is Chenchu is this. In a sangharamma to the northwest of the capital is a stupa built by Ashoka Raja. In the Indian tradition says this stupa contains a peck of relics of Tathagat. Formerly, when the Lord of the world dwelt in this place, during 7 days he preached the excellent law for the sake of assembly of the Devas. So to the northwest of Chenchu was, so the Chapra should have a relic stupa to the northwest. This is Gudri Bazaar. Gudri is the relics, folks. Gudri is the relics of Chenchu. The country of Chenchu means the country of Chapra. So now this has established that Chapra is Huen Tsang's Chenchu. Now from here Huen Tsang goes to the first Tibetan sangharamma. So what do you call it? Going east from the chief city about 200 li. That is around 84 kilometers, folks. Going east from the chief city about 200 li, we come to a sangharamma called to-kie-la-na. Ears not pierced. Ears not pierced. Okay? So the sangharamma to-kie-la-na meant the ears not pierced. So 200 li will be around 54 kilometers. So let's go here. 54 kilometers. See, here is your Chenchu, and 54 kilometers to the east, Chapra. See, here is Chapra, and here is your, you can measure it. Here is the bar, it's set at 20 kilometers from Chapra to Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi is exactly 54 kilometers. You measure it as the crow flies, 54 kilometers. Now Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi is Huen Tsang's to-kie-la-na. Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi's Huen Tsang's to-kie-la-na, which to-kie-la-na means unpierced ears. To-kie-la-na means unpierced ears. See, unpierced ears. So basically, folks, Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi is your first sangharamma for Tibetans. Latiahi means unpierced ears. So this was a sangharamma for unpierced ears. Those days the Indians, they all had pierced ears because they used to wear bali or earrings. And and the foreigners, they had unpierced ears. So up here, this sangharamma was for unpierced ears, and pierced ears were not allowed here. So folks, check out the pictures of Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi, your first Tibetan sangharamma, and tell the Buddha, show the Buddha where it is, folks. See the story Huen Tsang narrates. The circuit wall is not great, but the ornamental work of the building is very artistic. The lakes reflects the surrounding flowers, and the eaves of the towers and pavilions touch one another in a continuous line. The priests are grave and decorous, and all their duties are properly attended to. The tradition states formerly there were 2 or 3 sramanas passionately fond of learning who lived in the country of Tukhara, that is somewhere in Tibet, to the north of the snowy mountains. Snowy mountains is the Himalayas. So they lived in the country of Tukhara, north of the Himalayas, and were of one mind. Each day during the intervals of worship and reciting the scriptures, they talk together in this way. The excellent principles of religion are dark and mysterious, not to be fathomed in careless talk. The sacred relics shine with their own peculiar splendor. Let us go together from place to place and tell our faithful friends that what sacred relics we ourselves have seen. They make a plan to go to India to see the relics. On this, the 2 or 3 associates, taking their religious staves, went forth to travel together. Arrived in India at whatever convent gates they called, they were treated with disdain as belonging to a frontier country. There was racism, and no one would take them in. They were exposed to the winds and the rains, without and within. They suffered from hunger. Their withered bodies and pale faces showed their misery. At this time, the king of the country, in his wandering through the suburbs of the city, saw these strange priests. Surprised, he asked them, "What region, mendicant masters, came you from, and why are you here with your unpierced ears and your soiled garments?" See, why are you here with your unpierced ears and your soiled garments? The sramanas replied, "We are men of the Tukhara country, having received with respect the bequeathed doctrine with high resolve, we have spurned the common pursuits of life, and following the same plan, we have come to see and adore the sacred relics. But alas, for our little merit, all alike have cast us out. The sramanas of India deign not to give us shelter, and we would return to our own land, but we have not yet." Well, they would have returned to their own land, but we have not yet
completed the round of our pilgrimage, but they hadn't yet completed the round of their pilgrimage. So despite being mistreated, they were continuing. Therefore, with much fatigue and trouble in heart, we follow on our way, but till we have finished our aim. But they are adamant to continue even with all these problems. The king, hearing these words, was much affected with pity, and forthwith he erected on this fortunate, excellent site a sangharamma and wrote on a linen scroll the following decree: it is by the divine favor of the three precious ones, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, that I am made sole ruler of the world and the most honored among men. Having acquired sovereignty over men, this charge has been laid on me by Buddha to protect and cherish all who wear the garments of religion, soiled or dyed or I have built this sangharamma for the special entertainment of strangers. Let no priest with pierced ears, because all Indian priests had pierced ears because they wore earrings. Let no priest with pierced ears, that is why this place is called Latiahi, ever dwell in this convent of mine. Because of this circumstance, the place received its name. So folks, that is why it is called Latiahi. Latiahi means unpierced ears, folks. So, where is it? Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi. Ashpatpur is the king's name. Ashpat is the king's name, and Urf Latiahi. He made this.
Okay, now folks, enjoy. Look at this. How beautiful this first sangharamma. This is the first sangharamma for Tibetans in India. This is 1300 years ago. Zhang came here, and this sangharamma was already existent. And folks, this is Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi. This is the sangharamma for unpierced ears. In those days, India had everyone had pierced ears, whether they were male or female. They used to wear earrings called bali. And folks, here in the story, Zhang says that there were 2 or 3 Tibetans who, from the across the snowy mountains, that is the Himalayas, is the snowy mountains. So across the snowy mountains, 2 or 3 Tibetans, they come over. They were inspired by the Buddhist faith and they were interested. So they came here to study and learn the details and see the real places where the Buddha story took place. So they come over with their stakes. There are 2 or 3 of them. And now there was a rule in all the sangharammas that any bhikshu who came, he was given free food and lodging for 3 days. But these Tibetans, it was India's first interaction with Tibetans, sort of slant-eyed, high cheekbones, the Himalayan features, that people found them odd. And people mistreated them, slapped them, hit them, and no one gave them food, no one gave them shelter. They were out in the rain, they were out in the cold, but they were still adamant to visit all the holy sites before they went back to. They had the option of going back to their home, but no, they were, despite all this massive mistreatment, they were adamant to visit all the holy sites. So one day they were lying on the, there is a limit where a person can take, hungry, etc., and, walking for days. So they were lying on the side of the road dying. I mean, they were in a very bad condition. And this king was passing by on his horse. See the video, the photos you have of the temple, Jagdamba's temple, is the king on his horse. So what do you call it? The king is passing by. He sees these three Tibetans and he asks them. He gets surprised at their facial features, at their dress, their style. So he asks them from where they were, and they tell him that they had come here to visit all the Buddhist sites, but no one gave them food and everyone mistreated and beat them. So the king, he feels that this is wrong, and he makes this sangharamma only, which is only for unpierced ears. Unpierced ears, where pierced ears were not allowed. These three Tibetans, they had unpierced ears. So they were foreigners. See, this was the distinction, the difference between foreigners and Indians. Indians had pierced ears because they wore bali, the earrings, and foreigners had unpierced ears. So this sangharamma was for foreigners with unpierced ears. He makes it, and folks, Jagdamba Sthan, the temple Jagdamba Sthan, these are the old Buddhist temples. Jagdamba means, what do you call it? An ancestor. An ancestor. Now, who is the ancestor of this village who made this sangharamma for those Tibetans and for future Tibetans to come over? That is the king. He is the Jagdamba Sthan. He is the, what do you call it? Reigning deity of this village. So folks, this is your Ashpatpur Singhia Latiahi, and my Tibetan friends, I think you should go and visit this village and pay your respects to that king. That king deserves it. Wherever he is, wherever his soul is, he deserves the respect you give him. And basically, I personally think that Tibetans should go and pay him their respects, and the Tibetans should take His Holiness Dalai Lama over there for him to pay his respects to that king who had such a broad mind that he realized it was necessary because of racism. It was necessary to make a sangharamma for foreigners, where they couldn't be bullied or where they could, live, with proper, with prestige, and eat, live, and meditate over there. So, folks, I hope you found this video educative. If you did, please follow, like, and subscribe to my page, Buddha Exhumed, and don't forget to tell your friends and relatives about this video.